There is a comment in one of our videos talking about the escalated living expenses in Australia, which happened in the last few months, maybe about 6 months or so. There's somebody has written, you will be competing to find a place to stay. Rent is about $800 per week for a house and $200 to $300 for a room. Food will cost around $150 to $200 per week for basic supplies. I lived in Perth for 39 years and everyone is struggling here, and even harder if you decide Melbourne or Sydney, just for your information. So thank you so much for sharing your experience. See, the cost escalation in Australia on the living expenses is very true. Not only in Australia, a number of Western countries, the cost escalation is substantially very high. But that's one of the very reasons you need to understand. If you look at the recent times, that the basic salary has been increased from $54,000 to $74,000. So it's almost a 30% hike, which is keeping into consideration about the escalated living expense. That's what we've been advising number of times. If you are going to Australia, it's highly advisable you have to go on your own for the first 2 years. So that means your cost of living is much more under control. Say for an example, if you are taking an individual room, you're going to spend around about $150 to $200, or maximum about $250 per week, and then your food is going to talk about $150. If you're working in a hospitality sector, still the food can be a lot more cheaper, and your public transport going to cost you something about $50 to $60 a week, and then additional other expenses about another $50 to $60. So that means all put together, we're talking about roughly a $450 to $500, where your after tax in the new increased and escalated minimum wages, you're going to get something around about $1,200 to $1,350, which means still you make around about close to $1,000 per week of all your expenses. Still, it's substantially a fantastic salary, and if you're able to manage this for the first 2 years, and then you have some amount of money to bring your family in so that they can comfortably settle down. And once you have your family, of course, your spouse can able to look for opportunity to work, because they can work full time, so that you got the two earnings in the family. I'm sure definitely that will ease the pressure. So that will compensate on the additional expenses you're going to hire as a whole, as a house for the family. I'm sure there is a hardship, there is a challenge, but if you look at how you can able to tackle this and then plan well, I'm sure Australia is a fantastic place, still a great place, and many are still looking at exploring Australia as a career option.